Okay, today I'm at Sally Jurgensmier doing an interview. This is her gallery and showroom floor. She also still has some antiques over there, but this is some of the items that she has designed over the time period she's been doing this. And if you look out the window, you can really see some out there. There's a crane. Hello, Mark Larson here for Compass for Your Life Group. Today I have the honor of interviewing Sally Jurgensmier. She actually is my neighbor and I've gotten to know her quite well in the last few years. And I'm honored that she said she would do an interview with us today. So, Sally, you do metal and scrap. What would you call it, what you do? I should leave it up to you.
Well, I just tell people I do metal sculpture, and
Okay.
I try to repurpose or recycle as many items as I can in my pieces. It kind of depends on the situation as to how that really, carries
Right.
out. But yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this full time for 14 years.
Okay.
Before I started doing it full time, it was just a hobby, and hobby turned into a career.
You definitely can do that.
Yeah.
So what initially got you to go from hobby to career?
Just encouragement from some of my peers and kind of a life change, having to make a decision of what to do next. And this was something I always kind of wanted to dabble in. I never dreamt I'd be as busy as I am to this day.
Which is so awesome.
So I guess it was a good transition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. In fact, I think I have a few of your things in my house too.
Well, super. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, especially a Christmas tree that is not going to go anywhere.
Nope.
That
Nope.
was a very cool Christmas tree. So,
Super.
So how has it evolved from when you began to present day?
My pieces have taken on a lot more meaning, whether that's in the subject matter or why I make them, what encourages me or prompts me to make them. When I started, it was just kind of, very representational, kind of no questions asked. You could tell what it was. And now my pieces are taking on a little bit more interpretation of, I have a lot more people ask, what is it? And I never really tell them what my intentions were because I think that, there really isn't a wrong answer. And so I kind of answer their question with another question. And I say, well, what do you see? And sometimes I learn something. Sometimes it strikes up a whole different, conversation or a thoughts process. And I think that's really good with art because a lot of people might be intimidated to ask those questions or to admit to what they see.
Right. Very cool. So where do you go out and buy the metal, or where do you get your metal?
I'm fortunate enough that I have some local resources close to where I live.
Okay.
I'm near some machine shops and just tool and die companies and things like that. And living in a rural community, it's pretty easy to find cast-offs or junk. Every farmyard has an iron pile.
True. That is definitely true. Yes. So. Sure. Okay. So, of all the things you have done over the years, is there one piece you're most proud of?
I'm kind of like a little kid. Every time I make something that really has a lot of heart or emotion in it, for me personally, it's my new favorite.
I love it.
And, and I can't get any better. But then I do something else that has that much life or that much passion into it. And then I'm thinking, oh, this is my new favorite. I can't get any better now.
Yes.
So there you go.
I understand that too, yes.
Yeah.
So, no, that's so good. So of all the things you do, what is one of the most challenging things you do to build these sculptures?
The most challenging thing for me is not necessarily building the sculpture itself. It's the balance of making pieces for other people and making things I want to make, so that I'm not just going through these long streaks or periods of time where I'm just, like I call it, working for the man. I mean, I'm just making stuff people have asked me to make. And yet I'm getting a little bit more adventurous in that aspect as to asking for some artistic license when they commission me, to say, you know, this is going to flow a lot better if I can put a little bit more of myself into it, rather than solely what you're, you know, trying to recreate or imagine. You know, I want you to be happy with it, but I also want to be happy with it.
Exactly, yes.
So, so finding that balance with just my own creations for my own, you know, selling ability, or just to get through this crazy thing. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any favorite hacks or tricks when you're building something that works and really does?
You know, surprisingly, something very common, steel wool.
Steel wool, okay.
Steel wool.
So how does that?
Well, you know, a lot of my edges, after I've maybe cut them and ground them down or what have you, they're sharp, or they're just, you know.
Right.
And I have messed around with different wire wheels and, you know, discs, sanding discs and all that on my hand grinders and stuff. But a really simple thing when it's all said and done is just run over it with some steel wool. And, you know, if it's not too abrupt or abrasive, just takes care of it.
That's good to know. That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
So, okay. If there was one skill that you would like to improve upon, is there any particular skill you would like to improve upon?
Well, you know, you always want to get better at what you do to hopefully make your process easier.
True.
But right now, I would like to be better at time management.
Okay, really time management.
Yeah,
okay.
It really has nothing to do with, you know, making sculptures, but I think a lot of creative people just have trouble keeping, you know, things in alignment from what they have to do, what they want to do, what they need to do, what they can do, you know, and it kind of goes boop, do, 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 do.
Okay.
And if I could just get it to go a little bit more like this, that would make me probably a little less anxious, let's say.
I can understand that, so, okay. Is there any tool that you can't live without when you're doing this?
My welder.
So, for the people who know welding, so what kind of welder do you use? What type?
I do MIG welding, which is wire welding. It's the simplest form of welding, and I've always said if I can do it, anybody can do it, but boy howdy, I can't weld without my welder.
Yeah, that is true, yes.
So there you go.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, are there any certain types of metals you like working? Do you do aluminum or do you do anything like that?
I don't do aluminum. And I just like your raw steel. I mean, you know, and clean steel. Now that's the disadvantage to going through junkyards or iron piles. It's full of rust and dirt and mud, and, you know, horseshoes are full of all kinds of nasty things.
Yes.
But, you know, they all work well in the sculptures, but they all need to be clean. And so, you know, that's a whole other process, is cleaning things so that you can get a good weld, a good, you know, tight bond, and that you feel comfortable, you know, passing on to somebody that, you know, isn't going to fall apart.
Okay, cool. I see in some of your pieces that you're integrating more color. Is that how things are kind of...
Well, that was kind of brought about by a customer's request.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I typically have to outsource it. So that's another, you know, link in the chain. And whenever you put a link in the chain gets longer and longer and longer. And it sometimes isn't always as easy to manage. Okay. But there are some cases where it's very effective, and, you know, it's what the customer wants. And, you know, living where we do, where we have seasons, it's kind of fun now that we're getting into fall and winter and all of our foliage and, you know, greenery is dying down. Yes. If you have a little pop of color that remains, it can give you a little sign of hope of days to come, and you know, sunny side of the nickel is on you. There you go.
I love that. Yes, because I think, especially going into winter, we all need a little bit of color.
Yes,
so definitely a long season. So, okay. Recently, you put a piece over in Hastings.
I did.
So explain about that. Hastings, Nebraska.
Correct.
How did that come about?
Well, their downtown improvement district is trying to redevelop some, not necessarily blighted areas, but just areas that have been neglected or just need a facelift. And they're also encouraging more people to have businesses downtown with downtown living spaces.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, and so, as a complete package, they're creating green spaces, for people who live downtown, and parking that's convenient and very accessible. And so they've contacted, certain artists over a number of years to kind of adorn certain streets that are most popular with sculptures.
Sure.
And up until just this year, most of them have been bronze, which is great. But, they're kind of taking a little bit more of a contemporary vibe on First Street. And so they asked me to participate with one of my sculptures. And, it's a little bit more rustic or contemporary. It's rustic in the fact that it's just a rusty finish. It's just going to let the elements make it whatever color it is.
Right.
And the image itself is a little more contemporary than, a traditional bronze that they have displayed in the past.
Okay, very nice. And you still are with the store over in Hastings?
Correct. I'm part of a little gallery over there called Gallery on Lincoln Avenue.
Okay.
And it's 6 artists that have just pooled together to bring artwork to central Nebraska.
Very nice.
We highlight different featured artists throughout the year, and it's going okay.
Excellent. That's very, and then we definitely can use more art in central Nebraska.
I agree.
Very, very much.
I agree.
So, okay, where do you come up with your ideas?
And this crazy head that my neck is supporting at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so sweet. I have a lot of people, not so much maybe anymore, but when I first started, they would send me little clippings out of magazines or catalogs or something as inspiration. And, and it's very, very thoughtful. But I thought, oh, honey, I'm not going to live long enough to work out all the crazy ideas I have in my head.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
That is very good. So, okay, so if somebody would like to commission a piece or buy one of your pieces, where can they do that at?
Well, COVID has really made things interesting. There aren't as many exhibits or opportunities for artists to have shows or exhibitions and things of that nature. So I've kind of honed in on my showroom where we are now, on the farm where I live, and the little gallery that was mentioned previously in Hastings, Nebraska. And then, a lot of my exposure is word of mouth. I'm very fortunate that not only do I have a big mouth, but I must say enough out of my big mouth that people remember how to get a hold of me if they want to. So there you go. Yeah.
That is. Word of mouth is, once you get the word of mouth going, it is amazing. So, okay. So anything else you would like to elaborate on with...
here again, I think, for a lot of your listeners or viewers, and this is something that I really haven't put a lot of thought into until I kind of reached a milestone here recently with the birthday. But, your thinking or your thought process is very powerful.
Yes.
And the older we get, we seem to think we can't do as much as we used to be able to do.
Agree, yes.
And try not to let that take over too much of your day or your goals or your ambitions. Even if you're just chipping away at it, it's better than saying not at all. I can't do that. Maybe I can do it this way, or I can do it. I can do this much for this amount of time. And see where it gets me. I
love that.
Yeah.
And that is such good information. Because so many people do get to this point. It's like, well, I'm this age, you can't do that anymore. And it's mindset. It's just like, you can. You may have to do it differently. So, but excellent. Well, on that, thank you, Sally, for joining us. And I'm going to take some more pictures, footage of your studio here. And but thanks for joining us. And have a good holiday season. And we'll talk to you later then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mark Larson here. Actually, Sally and I just had a great interview. And she's actually with her 2 pups there. Dixie and Delilah? Yep. Okay, okay. So, and you can kind of see some of the things that she's got out in her yard. And here comes Oscar, and I don't know what the other cat's name is.
That's Oli.
Oli, Oscar and Oli. I love it. Yeah. So, but nope, we had a very good interview, and actually acquired some Christmas things. So awesome. Yes, it's always woohoo. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and thank you, Sally.
Yeah.
Better.
That is true.
I like your cow there.
Thank you. Shake. Shake. Shake with the other paw. Really good. Now can you lie down? Lie down. Good.